All right, our next speaker is Melanie Stark, a very talented and forward-thinking woman. Melanie is a fun-loving, eccentric, and neurodivergent teacher and motivational speaker. She holds a master's in education, and she got her DTM award earlier this year. Congratulations, Melanie. Tonight, she's going to share with you why some of the traditional methods used by motivational speakers and coaches have not worked for you. The title of Melanie's speech is The Real Secret to Success. The Real Secret to Success, Melanie Stark.
Let me start by asking you a question. Who do you think you are? Because if you tell me your profession, your age, your religion, or where you're from, you haven't told me a thing. What I really want to know is what you love and what you're passionate about and what you can just lose yourself in and lose time in. Because if we can find out what that is, what you love, we can turn that into a life that you're going to love. See, if you're ever going to be brilliant, if you're ever going to be special, you've got to go after what you love. Now, you might not remember that dream that's hiding in you, or you might not think it's possible. But I know that you have a dream, and your dreams are hiding because they need to be safe. They learned what danger was when you were a kid. So what you've done is you've taken those dreams and those wishes and you've hidden them away for safekeeping against critics, against failure, and against a world where the cards were stacked against you. And the problem is you grew up and you forgot where you left them. But they're waiting for you and they're in there and they're perfect and they're intact. But the problem is that you're chasing success. And our society has this definition of success that usually equates to money and fame. And those things aren't bad in and of themselves. But if you're using those metrics to measure whether or not you've succeeded at something, I'm willing to bet that you've got this feeling of emptiness, this yearning for something more. Something you can't quite fill, no matter how many self-help motivational seminars you attend, no matter how many success coaches you hire, no matter how many books you read. So I think it's time that we say out loud what we've all been feeling inside, that this just do it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of messaging doesn't really work. Why? Well, let's start with a common question that I hear a lot of motivational speakers use. Here's the question. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? And I just don't think that's a fair question, because I can't guarantee that you're not going to fail at something that you try, and you can't guarantee that. Nobody can. So I think a better question is, what would you do if you knew that even if you failed, you wouldn't lose your home or your ability to put food on the table or your kids? See, I think a lot of us are perfectly fine enduring a little bit of humiliation or the loss of some luxury in our lives. But the majority of us are in a position that failure is a lot bigger deal for us than it is for the person who's asking that question. So I don't mean to put a damper on the motivational industry, but we need to live in reality. Sometimes your dream doesn't make you much money, and sometimes you can't quit your day job to pursue it. So here's where I think we need to make a little shift in our thinking, because money is the thing that supports the things that we love, the things that make us feel fulfilled in life. But so many of us have that switch in our heads, right? We think that what makes us fulfilled is supposed to bring us a lot of money. And it's like having a child, right? You work to pay for things to raise the child to be successful. You don't have a child in order to make you money. I mean, I hope you don't. And there's nothing wrong with making some money on a dream in order to support the dream, right? If your dream includes a lot of travel, maybe you find a job that will send you traveling. If you like to create art, maybe you can sell some of your pieces to buy more supplies. But so many of us make the pursuit of wealth into the dream that we lose the dream in the process. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say that money doesn't buy happiness, because I think the people who say that have never experienced poverty, right? They've never had to go to school without new clothes, or not been able to have dinner at night because their parents couldn't afford groceries that week. But studies have actually been done on this. And what they found was that, yes, there is a measure of happiness that is tied to money, in that money brings comfort and security. And it's very hard to be happy when you don't have those basic needs met. But the interesting thing about this is the studies show that there's an amount of money that you can have, and that beyond that amount doesn't really bring more happiness. And that amount of money that they found is roughly $75,000 a year. Now, that can be plus or minus depending on where you live and your cost of living. But basically, it's more than enough to survive on, and enough that you're going to be comfortable, right? But beyond that, having $1 million is probably not going to make you any happier than $75,000 a year is going to, according to the studies. Now, I don't know. I'm not you, and I'm not in your body, but I will tell you about a friend of mine named Jim. Now, Jim is the epitome of success when I think about a motivational speaker, okay? He is a coach and a motivational speaker, and he lives in San Diego in a high-rise apartment. He owns a yacht and a sports car, and he wears these like tailor-made suits. And a few weeks ago, he posted on social media, inviting people to ask him anything we wanted about achieving and success. So I asked him about a time that he had to work through some anxiety to reach his next level. And his response to my question floored me. He said, "Melanie, I don't get anxiety." All right. I'm 45 years old. And it wasn't until that moment in my entire life, it has never occurred to me that there are people out there who simply don't experience chronic anxiety. So I started asking other people, like, is this true? Do people like this actually exist? And come to find out, there's a lot of people out there who get nervous and they have fear, but they don't wake up every morning with this visceral feeling in their stomach when they look at their to-do list and have to really manage themselves to get out of bed and to function for the day. Like, I just thought everybody dealt with this. And when I realized that, it hit me, because if I didn't have to deal with anxiety in my life, I'd probably have 3 yachts and a private island by now. But the fact that I've accomplished so much while managing chronic anxiety every day of my life says a lot. I always thought the reason I wasn't as successful as people like Jim was because he was better at handling his anxiety than I was. And the truth was, he didn't even have anxiety. And so much of my life is just spent just trying to manage the anxiety. So when I go and I listen to these speakers and this just do it kind of crap, they never talk about how to succeed when you're dealing with anxiety, ADHD, autism, chronic illness, you name it. I think we really need to understand our own biological and neurological basis for our resistance to our dreams, to the things that we want to pursue. Now, my friend Jim, he hates excuses, absolutely hates them. And the one excuse that he says he hears more often than anything is, "I don't have time." And he says that's a cop-out, right? Just get up an hour earlier every day and you'll have 30 extra hours a month. And that seems pretty simple to me. But the problem is, first of all, he's never had kids. And secondly, I got to tell you, if I sacrifice an hour of my sleep every single day, that's not going to go good. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy in my house. So that's not really a solving of my problem. But this is what a lot of these self-help gurus do. And I don't want you to get me wrong, because I love me a self-help seminar. So Chibwe and I went over to Beverly's house a few months ago, and man, we had this Tony Robbins video on. You should have seen us. We were like, yeah, we had the lady power going. Ed walks in the room, right? And he just like backed out very quickly. Because we had like so much lady power going, right? Tony Robbins is fun. It's like a rock concert fun, and he's really into these affirmations. I am capable and confident. I greet each day with energy and commitment. I am enough. And it feels great to do that stuff and to yell it and cheer and bring up your energy. It's wonderful. And that feeling in me, it lasts until about the time I get out to my car and I put my keys in the ignition and I totally forgot what we were doing. So I'll keep going to these seminars because they're fun. But the problem is they promise you that they're going to change your life, and they really don't. Now, I have a question for you. Raise your hand. How many of you think it's important to have a positive attitude? Love yourself and believe in yourself. And okay, some of you were there last week and you already know the answer. So but most of you are raising your hand. Okay, so you can put your hands down. I have some news for you. I'm pretty pissed off about that. Not at you guys, not at all, but at the people who taught you that. Because I want to get something out of the way right now. Raise your hand if you've ever gone to school, held down a job, or raised a kid for more than 3 years in a row. Okay, yeah, everybody has, right? And now, how many of you did that consistently with a positive attitude every single day? No, of course you didn't. No, you got up and you did what you had to do with any damn attitude you woke up with that day, right? Because you do what you got to do to survive. That's what we do. And you didn't give up because you just do it. You don't have to have a positive attitude to be successful. And you can take this same idea into the things that really mean something very powerful to you. Because if you're capable of doing that, you're capable of channeling that energy in any direction you want. Okay, I gotta bag on the motivational industry again. How many of you guys have ever gone to one of these workshops or seminars and they have you stand in front of the mirror and you do this for 30 days, okay? For 5 minutes a day, you stand in front of the mirror and you smile at your reflection and you say, I love you. Anybody ever done that? Oh, Charles has done it. I've done that. I've done it a few times too. I won't put you on the spot, Charles, but I'll just say for me, I felt like as big of a dork when I did it the first time as I did it after 30 days. But if it works for you, go for it. If affirmations work for you, go for it. Don't let me discourage you from what works for you. But I'm telling you, it doesn't work for me. And I don't think it works for a lot of people. Because if it did, we wouldn't have to keep going back, right? See, this discouragement and this sudden loss of interest that you've experienced from your dreams and from the things that you want to pursue, it's not laziness. It's a force that's triggered by nature to protect you. So what do we do? What's the alternative? Well, it's about understanding your unique temperament and what makes you tick. So what we need is a system that works with real respect and real honesty for who you are and what resources you have. It's something that makes your gut know that you're doing the right thing, that you're on the right track to your own personal genius. So how do you know when you've tapped into that personal genius? Okay. So this has been studied by science. Okay, there's this psychologist by the name of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He's a Hungarian American psychologist, and his specialty is what's called flow state. Now, flow state is that moment when you're completely in the zone, when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that time just flies and you're focused and there isn't really time for reflection or affirmations, right? So you're doing your thing. Somebody comes by and, oh, that looks really interesting. It looks like you really love that. Uh-huh. Wow, do you want to say some affirmations with me? Do you love yourself in this moment? Yeah, go away. Because you're so focused on this and it's like everything else just melts away. Okay. So if you remember nothing else from this speech, I want you to remember this fact, because this is what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi found in his research, that flow state is achieved when you are exactly 4% out of your comfort zone, 4% above your skill level. Okay, so it's ever so slightly out of your comfort zone. Too much, and you're going to be discouraged. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to get angry. Too little, and you're going to be bored. We got to challenge ourselves, but not to the point that we're struggling, right? That life is no longer fun. Because when it's not fun, what's the point? So I find that I hit my flow state when I'm doing a few things, right? When I'm sewing, when I'm doing karaoke, when I'm hiking, and when I'm giving speeches at Toastmasters. But there's another thing that really kind of gets me down with this whole motivational speech thing. And that's when people say, you can do anything you put your mind to. See, I love to sing, but I don't think I can be the next Taylor Swift. And maybe I can, but I'm not sure that I want to, because the fact is that Taylor Swift has to endorse a candidate and has to make all these special arrangements for her boyfriend, and she can't go to a basketball game and just have fun. And I don't know. I don't think that's the kind of life I want. I would much rather just go to the VFW on a couple Saturday nights a month with Nora Lee and just be a star there. I mean, to me, honestly, when I really sat with that and I thought, would I want to be Taylor Swift? I don't think I do. But when you say to somebody, you can do anything, it's coming from a place of love, but it actually is sort of putting pressure on them. Just because they can do it doesn't mean maybe that they should. So to give you an example of this, my two children are both on the autism spectrum, and my youngest gets really upset when people try to tell him that autism is his superpower. And people say this all the time. I've been guilty of trying to say this, but it makes him really upset, because if you're autistic and you want to say autism is your superpower, that's fine. But when people say that to my child, what he hears is they're devaluing the struggle that he has to deal with every day. And they're telling him that he should just pull up his bootstraps and get going and be successful. And the truth is, just like you, he's perfect exactly the way he is. And he's an artist and he's creative and he's talented, but he struggles. And that's his struggle to have. And maybe that's part of his 4% that makes life more fun, but that's his journey. And you're on your journey. See, the secret to success, it's not about positive thinking, and it's not about self-love. It's about understanding your unique genius and working with your natural tendencies and taking action based on what you truly love. So Oliver Wendell Holmes has this great quote. He says, most of us will go to our graves with our music still inside us, unplayed. And I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of life that I want to live. So I'm not going to go to my grave with my music unsung. I'm going to sing you a little song. If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what will I have to show? No, not fortune or fame, they scatter to the wind. These things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But if the world's a little more peaceful, oceans and sky a little more blue, if humankind is a little bit wiser about the good that we can do, does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Your dreams and your passions are waiting to be uncovered. They're the key to unlocking your unique motivation, fulfillment, and success. And more than that, the world is waiting for what you have to offer. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you that you can do anything. What I'm going to say to you is that what you do and what you're capable of and what you love matters. If you're ever going to be brilliant, if you're ever going to be special, you've got to go after what you love. So I ask you again, who are you?
Wow. Fantastic job, Melanie. Wow.